Hi, welcome to our brand new Microsoft Azure Fundamentals Certificate Exam Dummy Question. In this video, we are going to discuss all the dummy questions of the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals exam. I'm your host Kushal Mehta from UpDegree, and let's get started. You have an on-premises network that contains several servers. You plan to migrate all the servers to Azure. You need to recommend a solution to ensure that some of these servers are available if a single Azure data center goes offline for an extended period. What should you include in the recommendation? And here are the options. Option A, fault tolerance. Option B, elasticity. Option C, scalability. Option D, low latency. The correct answer is option A, fault tolerance. Explanation. Fault tolerance is the ability of the system to continue to function in the event of a failure of some of its components. In this question, you could have servers that are replicated across data centers. Availability zones expand the level of control. You have to maintain the availability of the applications and data on your VMs. Availability zones are unique physical locations within an Azure region. Each zone is made up of one or more data centers, equipped with independent power, cooling, and networking. To ensure resiliency, there are a minimum of 3 separate zones in an enabled regions. The physical separation of availability zones within a region protects applications and data from data center failures. With availability zones, Azure offers industry-best 99.99% VM uptime (SLA). By architecting your solutions to use replicated VMs in zones, you can protect your applications and data from the loss of a data center. If one zone is compromised, then replicated apps and data are instantly available in another zone. Next question. What are 2 characteristics of the public cloud? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. And here are the options. Option A, dedicated hardware. Option B, unsecured connections. Option C, limited storage. Option D, metered pricing. Option E, self-service management. And the correct answer is option D, metered pricing, and option E, self-service management. Section, describe cloud concepts. Explanation. With the public cloud, you get pay-as-you-go pricing. You pay only for what you use, no capex costs. With the public cloud, you have self-service management. You are responsible for the deployment and configuration of the cloud resources such as virtual machines or websites. The underlying hardware that hosts the cloud resources is managed by the cloud provider. Incorrect answers. Option A. You don't have dedicated hardware. The underlying hardware is shared, so you could have multiple customers using cloud resources hosted on the same physical hardware. Option B. Connections to the public cloud are secure. Option C. Storage is not limited. You can have as much storage as you like. Next question. Your company plans to migrate all its data and resources to Azure. The company's migration plan states that only platform as a service solutions must be used in Azure. You need to deploy an Azure environment that meets the company migration plan. Solution. You create an Azure App Service and Azure SQL databases. Does this meet the goal? Option A, yes. Option B, no. The correct answer is option A, yes. Section. Describe cloud concepts. Explanation. Azure App Service and Azure SQL databases are examples of Azure PaaS solutions. Therefore, this solution does meet the goal. Next question. Your company plans to migrate all its data and resources to Azure. The company's migration plan states that only platform as a service solutions must be used in Azure. You need to deploy an Azure environment that meets the company migration plan. Solution: you create an Azure App Service and Azure virtual machines that have Microsoft SQL Server installed. Does this meet the goal? Option A, yes. Option B, no. The correct answer is option B, no. Section: describe cloud concepts. Explanation: Azure App Service is a PaaS, Platform as a Service. However, Azure Virtual Machines are an IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. Therefore, this solution does not meet the goal. Next question. Your company plans to migrate all its data and resources to Azure. The company's migration plan states that only Platform as a Service solutions must be used in Azure. You need to deploy an Azure environment that meets the company migration plan. Solution: you create an Azure App Service and Azure storage accounts. Does this meet the goal? And here are the options. Option A, yes. Option B, no. The correct answer is option B, no. Section: describe cloud concepts. Explanation: Azure App Service is a PaaS service, Platform as a Service. However, Azure Storage Accounts are an IaaS service, Infrastructure as a Service. Therefore, this solution does not meet the goal. Next question. Your company hosts an accounting application named App1 that is used by all customers of the company. App1 has low usage during the first 3 weeks of each month and very high usage during the last week of each month. Which benefit of Azure Cloud Services supports cost management for this type of usage pattern? And here are the options. Option A, high availability. Option B, high latency. Option C, elasticity. Option D, load balancing. The correct answer is option C, elasticity. Section: describe cloud concepts. Explanation: elasticity in this case is the ability to provide additional compute resource when needed and reduce the compute resource when not needed to reduce costs. Autoscaling is an example of elasticity. Elastic computing is the ability to quickly expand or decrease computer processing, memory, and storage resources to meet changing demands without worrying about capacity planning and engineering for peak usage. Typically controlled by system monitoring tools, elastic computing matches the amount of resources allocated to the amount of resources actually needed without disrupting operations. With cloud elasticity, a company avoids paying for unused capacity or idle resources and doesn't have to worry about investing in purchase or maintenance of additional resources and equipment. Next question. You plan to migrate a web application to Azure. The web application is accessed by external users. You need to recommend a cloud deployment solution to minimize the amount of administrative effort used to manage the web application. What should you include in the recommendations? Option A, software as a service. Option B, platform as a service. Option C, infrastructure as a service. Option D, database as a service. And the correct answer is option B, platform as a service. Explanation: Azure App Service is a platform as a service offering that lets you create web and mobile apps for any platform or device and connect to data anywhere, in the cloud or on-premises. App Service includes the web and mobile capabilities that were previously delivered separately as Azure websites and Azure mobile services. Next question. You have an on-premises network that contains 100 servers. You need to recommend a solution that provides additional resources to your users. The solution must minimize capital and operational expenditure costs. What should you include in the recommendation? And here are the options. A complete migration to the public cloud. Option B. An additional data center. Option C. A private cloud. Option D. A hybrid cloud. And the correct answer is option D. A hybrid cloud. Section. Describe cloud concepts. Explanation. A hybrid cloud is a combination of a private cloud and a public cloud. Capital expenditure is the spending of money upfront for infrastructure such as new servers. With a hybrid cloud, you can continue to use the on-premises servers while adding new servers in the public cloud. Azure, for example. Adding new servers in Azure minimizes the capital expenditure costs, as you are not paying for the new servers, as you would if you deployed new servers on premises. Incorrect answers? Option A. A complete migration of 100 servers to the public cloud would involve a lot of operational expenditure. The cost of migrating all the servers. Option B. An additional data center would involve a lot of capital expenditure. The cost of the new infrastructure. Option C. A private cloud is hosted on on-premises servers, so this would involve a lot of capital expenditure. The cost of the new infrastructure to host a private cloud. You plan to migrate several servers from an on-premises network to Azure. What is an advantage of using a public cloud service for the servers over an on-premises network? And here are the options. Option A. The public cloud is owned by the public, not a private corporation. Option B. The public cloud is a crowdsourcing solution that provides corporation with the ability to enhance the cloud. Option C. All public cloud resources can be freely accessed by every member of the public. Option D. The public cloud is a shared entity whereby multiple corporations each use a portion of the resources in the cloud. And the correct answer is option D. The public cloud is a shared entity whereby multiple corporations each use a portion of the resources in the cloud. Explanation. The public cloud is a shared entity whereby multiple corporations each use a portion of the resources in the cloud. The hardware resources, servers, infrastructure, etc. are managed by the cloud provider. Multiple companies create resources such as virtual machines and virtual networks on the hardware resources. Incorrect answers. The public cloud is not owned by the public. In the case of Microsoft Azure, the cloud is owned by Microsoft. Option B. The public cloud is not a crowdsourcing solution. In the case of Microsoft Azure, the cloud is owned by Microsoft. Option C. It is not true that public cloud resources can be freely accessed by every member of the public. You pay for a cloud subscription and create accounts for your users to access your cloud resources. No one can access your cloud resources until you create user accounts and provide the appropriate access permissions. Next question. In which type of cloud model are all the hardware resources owned by a third party and shared between multiple tenants? And here are the options. Option A, private. Option B, hybrid. Option C, public. And the correct answer is option C, public. Explanation. Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud are three examples of public cloud services. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google own the hardware. The tenants are the customers who use the public cloud services. Next question. You have 1,000 virtual machines hosted on the Hyper-V hosts in a data center. You plan to migrate all the virtual machines to an Azure pay-as-you-go subscription. You need to identify which expenditure model to use for planned Azure solution. Which expenditure model should you identify? And here are the options. Option A, operational. Option B, elastic. Option C, capital. Option D, scalable. And the correct answer is option A, operational. Explanation. One of the major changes that you will face when you move from an on-premises cloud to the public cloud is the switch from capital expenditure, buying hardware, to operating expenditure, paying for services as you use it. This switch also requires more careful management of your costs. The benefit of the cloud is that you can fundamentally and positively affect the cost of a service you use by merely shutting down or resizing it when it's not needed. Next question. Your company has an on-premises network that contains multiple servers. The company plans to reduce the following administrative responsibilities of network administrators: backup application data, replacing failed servers' hardware, managing physical server security, updating server operating systems, managing permissions to shared documents. The company plans to migrate several servers to Azure virtual machines. You need to identify which administrative responsibilities will be eliminated after the planned migration. Which two responsibilities should you identify? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. And here are the options. Replacing failed server hardware. Option B. Backing up application data. Option C. Managing physical server security. Option D. Updating server operating systems. Option E. Managing permissions to shared documents. And the correct answer is option A. Replacing failed server hardware. And option C. Managing physical server security. Explanation. Azure virtual machines run on Hyper-V physical servers. The physical servers are owned and managed by Microsoft. As an Azure customer, you have no access to the physical servers. Microsoft manages the replacement of failed server hardware and the security of the physical servers, so you don't need to. Incorrect answer? Option B. Microsoft have no control over the applications you run on the virtual machines. Therefore, it is your responsibility to ensure that application data is backed up. Option D. Microsoft do not manage the operating systems you run on the virtual machines. Therefore, it is your responsibility to ensure that operating systems are updated. Option E. Microsoft have no control over the shared folders you host on the virtual machines. Therefore, it is your responsibility to ensure that folder permissions are configured appropriately. As a service, resources in Azure. Which resource is an example of IaaS? And here are the options. Option A. An Azure web app. Option B. An Azure virtual machine. Option C. An Azure logic app. Option D. An Azure SQL database. And the correct answer is option B. Explanation. An Azure virtual machine is an example of infrastructure as a service. Azure web app, Azure logic app, and Azure SQL database are all examples of platform as a service. Next question. To which cloud models can you deploy physical servers? And here are the options. Option A. Private cloud and hybrid cloud only. Option B. Private cloud only. Option C. Private cloud, hybrid cloud, and public cloud. Option D. Hybrid cloud only. And the correct answer is option A. Private cloud and hybrid cloud only. Explanation. A private cloud is on-premises, so you can deploy physical servers. A hybrid cloud is a mix of on-premise and public cloud resources. You can deploy physical servers on-premises. Next question. You have 50 virtual machines hosted on-premises and 50 virtual machines hosted in Azure. The on-premises virtual machines and the Azure virtual machines connect to each other. Which type of cloud model is this? And here are the options. Option A. Hybrid. Option B. Private. Option C. Public. And the correct answer is option A. Your company plans to migrate all its data and resources to Azure. The company's migration plan states that only platform as a service solutions must be used in Azure. You need to deploy an Azure environment that meets the company migration plan. Solution: you create Azure virtual machines, Azure SQL databases, and Azure storage accounts. Does this meet the goal? And here are the options. Option A, yes. Option B, no. And the correct answer is option B, no. Explanation: Platform as a Service is a complete development and deployment environment in the cloud. PaaS includes infrastructure, servers, storage, and networking, but also middleware, development tools, business intelligence services, database management systems, and more. PaaS is designed to support the complete web application lifecycle: building, testing, deploying, managing, and updating. However, virtual machines are example of infrastructure as a service. IaaS is an instant computing infrastructure provisioned and managed over the internet. Next question. Your company plans to deploy several custom applications to Azure. The applications will provide invoicing services to the customers of the company. Each application will have several prerequisite applications and services installed. You need to recommend a cloud deployment solution for all the applications. What should you recommend? And here are the options. Software as a service. Option B, platform as a service. Option C, infrastructure as a service. And the correct answer is infrastructure as a service. Explanation: Infrastructure as a service is an instant computing infrastructure provisioned and managed over the internet. The IaaS service provider manages the infrastructure while you purchase, install, configure, and manage your own software. Incorrect answers. Option A, software as a user service allows user to connect to and use cloud-based apps over the internet. Common examples are email, calendaring, and office tools. In this scenario, you need to run your own apps and therefore require an infrastructure. Option B, platform as a service is a complete development and deployment environment in the cloud. PaaS includes infrastructure, servers, storage, and networking, but also middleware, development tools, business intelligence services, database management systems, and more. PaaS is designed to support the complete web application lifecycle: building, testing, deploying, managing, and updating. Next question. An Azure region contains one or more data centers that are connected by using a low latency network. Instructions: review the underlying text if it makes the statement correct. Select no changes needed if the statement is incorrect. Select the answer choice that makes statement correct. And here are the options. No changes needed. Option B is found in each country where Microsoft has a subsidiary office. Option C can be found in every country in Europe and Americas only. Option D contains one or more data centers that are connected by using a high latency network. And the correct answer is option A, no change is needed. Explanation: a region is a set of data centers deployed within a latency defined perimeter and connected through a dedicated regional low latency network. Microsoft Azure currently has 55 regions worldwide. Regions are divided into availability zones. Availability zones are physically separate locations within an Azure region. Each availability zone is made up of one or more data centers equipped with independent power, cooling, and networking. Next question. You plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines. You need to ensure that services running on the virtual machines are available if a single data center fails. Solution: you deploy the virtual machines to 2 or more availability zones. Does this meet the goal? And here are the options. Option A, yes. Option B, no. And the correct answer is option A, yes. Explanation: availability zones expand the level of control You have to maintain the availability of the applications and data on your VMs. An availability zone is physically separate zone within an Azure region. There are 3 availability zones per supported Azure region. Each availability zone has a distinct power source, network, and cooling. By architecting your solution to use replicated VMs in zones, you can protect your apps and data from the loss of data centers. If one zone is compromised, then replicated apps and data are instantly available in another zone.